thoughts on a pretty complete victory, minus maybe an inning or two there at the end?
Minnesota's scrappy. They talking to their coach afterwards, that's a team that doesn't give in. And we had, pretty much a chance to win all three of those games, and they kept coming after us, and they got the first two from us, and they almost got this one. So, on our side, the positive of our side is that, we did drop the last two games that were tough. They stung quite a bit, but we were able to bounce back and hold on today. So that was the positive. But the overall take is we got a lot to work on.
Another pretty good day from Jaden Alba. Was working out of a couple of jams. Seems like that's become a habit for him, being able to pitch with runners on base. Seemed like a little bit of an injury there at the end. Is everything okay with him?
Yeah, we're see how he is tomorrow. He's starting to get a cramp, I think, is what we're hoping of. So we wanted to be very cautious with it. He's an arm we can't afford to lose long run. So we wanted to make sure we didn't jeopardize that. I'll always try to put the health of our guys, as a paramount number one, and that was the guy we just he was feeling something there, and we decided to be very cautious about it.
Was the hope 5 innings again, or around that with him?
However many he could get through with our pitch count. So as long as he was looking good, which he was throwing the ball well, it was coming out good. He had 4 or 5 punch outs there in 3 innings, and it was coming out good. So I would have rode him all the way until we got up to his pitch count.
What do you make of his ability these last couple of starts to work out of some trouble? You had bases loaded last week and got out of it. A couple of runners on today multiple times, got out of it.
He locks in and gets it done when he has to, makes pitches when he has to, and he's not going to be perfect, and is going to give up his hits once in a while, but the fact is the kid battles, so I love that about him.
What are your thoughts on Derek and him coming through in that situation, and then notice his contributions to the team?
I mean, that was that's why we brought him in right there. We were hoping, Josh had been throwing the ball outstanding. We didn't make a play there for him, and it kind of put us in a bind. I would have stuck with Josh probably, just because he was throwing the ball great and getting ground balls, and as you saw the previous couple innings, anything in the air was going a long ways. So we were trying to keep the ball on the ground. Once we had the tying run at third and go ahead run at second, we had to try to go for strikeout versus contact. Josh is a great contact pitcher. But right there, contact scores a run. So we're like, who's our best punch out guy right now? It's Shafe. So we went and got him, and he picked us up big time. So that showed me a lot of something with him. He came in eager to get the ball, and he did through conviction. Did a great job.
He was very well spoken. Just here a few minutes ago, seeing a guy like that being able to come back to this place and kind of the passion that he has for it. What did that kind of say about the local recruiting right now and your connection to people around the valley?
Well, we tried hard the first go around out of high school to get him here, and he chose another place, and I won't mention names and give them credit, but I will say that he wanted to leave, and we got him on the back end. There's a lot of good players that for one reason or another think the grass is greener and go to a different program, but then ultimately want to come back home. Derek was a kid that we didn't burn that bridge with him. Great kid. Once he left to go to Tennessee, we were like, dang, that stung a little bit, but we wish you the best. And you never know when they're going to come back and want to come back home. And once he gave us the call that he went in the portal, we took him with open arms. Like, heck yeah, man, we finally got the kid we wanted. So he can serve a lot of roles. He started at UCLA the other day and threw outstanding. We had intentions of him starting on Tuesday against UNLV. We need to obviously use him tonight to close and get the W. And we'll see. He only threw 11 pitches, so we'll see if he's able to bounce back and give us a start on Tuesday. We need to reevaluate that tomorrow, but he's just done a great job.
Having gone through that recruiting process yourself and really falling in love with the place you chose, how do you approach those kind of recruits that end up choosing another place and then want to come back?
You know, a lot of it is their character on how they choose another place, and I guess, the respect, I guess, that they give us if they choose to go somewhere else. You know, I think that goes a long way with me. You know, if I get a text message from a kid that says, "Hey, I'm going here," I don't care if he wants to come back or not, right? It's just, you give the program that puts their effort into you and gives you official visit, shows you around, that type of stuff. If you don't get them, that's fine, but at least have the courtesy to give us a phone call and say, "Hey man, where did we fall short? What was it that you didn't like?" Whatever. You know, kid does that and is respectful for us, heck yeah. If they want to come back on the back end, I'm usually all ears. So, you know, there's the right way to go about it.
Easton Barrett was the guy that committed the first time around for you guys, had 2 2/3 innings days. They're pretty strong, along with Derek, Josh. How are you really evaluating this bullpen after such a chaotic weekend?
Well, you know, we're finding out who can come in big moments and get things done. Obviously, this is, you don't like losing games, but we're finding out who's capable and who's ready for those situations and what roles they're kind of forming for a lot of these guys. So, and we understand that we got to get better. We have enough firepower in that bullpen to be really good. We just have to, you know, kind of define some roles and figure out what they're really good at. And again, for us as for coaches, to put them in right situations where we can be successful. So, you know, he did just fine today. 2 2/3 and gave up a run. You know, he lengthened the game out for us. So gave us the start that probably Alba would have had, piggybacked on top of him. So it was great. I mean, he did an outstanding job.
Beckett's Vork was another freshman that had a really strong day today. Some crafty base running. Do you see him maybe featuring a little bit more?
Kid's a baseball player, and we just talked about it as a team, just on having that baseball player instinct and being baseball players, and the kid has it. So the hard part is as I mentioned a million times, we have some talented infielders that we're trying to mix in there and get going. Trying to give him as many at bats as we can and mix him in and keep him sharp, along with, you know, Kyle Walker, along with Jax Ryan, along with Matt King, you know, keeping those guys in there, and the kid can help us, right? And he had a great game at UCLA the other day too, and you know, lays a bunt down, gets the rally started, and we've been screaming for someone to lay a bunt down, you know, for couple days here. It's like, we're gonna give it to you, take it. Well, I didn't even give it to him, he just did it on his own and gets it down and then steals bag, creates havoc. So that was an outstanding job by him.
As a guy who was famously not a bad bunter, do you take a more hands-on approach teaching that to the guys?
You know, we focus on it, we do it enough, but we don't do it enough in game. Something we need to be better at and do more in game, and if guys are giving it to us, we gotta take it, man. Especially when our offense isn't clicking on all cylinders yet. That's the way to jumpstart an offense at times. So we gotta take advantage of it more and be better at it.
Is there anything from your personal experience that you try to bring into that when you're teaching them?
You gotta be convicted when you're doing it. So, well, I don't want to bunt. Well, you're not gonna get it down then, probably. So you have to be convicted when you're doing it. And if you are, you can get a lot of base hits that way. And even if you don't get base hits, you get the pitcher off the mound and get him out of his rhythm, which a lot of times is every bit as effective as getting a base hit sometimes.
Coach, Nucontratis today at the top of the order. His numbers aren't going to jump off the box score, but he worked long at bats, saw a ton of pitches, set the table for the rest of the order. What did you make of his performance, being able to work long at bats?
You know, we again, that was another thing we touched on in there, that Nu's not swinging what he's capable of yet, and he will. I'm 100% confident he'll get there and he'll start hitting like he's capable of. But what that kid did today was battle, and he was 0-2 every single at bat, it seemed like. And the next thing you know, he's on working on 10, 11, 12 pitch at bats and continuing to grind. And you know, whether or not I think he punched out a couple times, just making that guy work on the mound, and next at bat, he's 0-2 again. 12, 13 pitches later, he earns a walk, and it's like, man, the kid's, he's battling, he's scrapping, he's not feeling great swinging, but he's continuing to put his heart and soul into it, and that's all I ask for.
You talked a lot about Kyle and how those numbers on the page really don't indicate how good he is as a ball player. Do you think this is maybe a game that can kind of spark getting back to where he was at the end of last season?
You know, I hope so. Kyle, I've said that he's a dynamic player. Struck out today for the first time, I think, all year, which took a heater. Looked like it was right down the middle, but he's a dynamic player, and if we're going to get to where we want to go, we need him to be what he's capable of. Because that kid, when he's on, he adds a dynamic of offense that we need. He can run, he can hit for power, you know, hits for contact, as we've seen. I got to think they're going to start falling for him. He's had enough lineouts and enough hard hit balls right at guys that they're going to start finding holes, hopefully.
With 1 week left in non-conference play, what are your thoughts on where you guys are at this far, and what's your focus heading into this final week of non-con?
We gotta get better. In a lot of areas, we gotta get better. We're not clicking on all cylinders offensively. We played solid defense so far, I think. Base running has to clean up and get better. Not necessarily the base stealing, but the base running has to get better. And then guys coming in confident out of the bullpen and doing what they're supposed to do, I think are the big areas. And offensively, we got to get back to the right contact points when we're swinging. It's just where we're catching everything really deep right now. And there's a lot of things that we as a staff that we got to continue grinding on these guys with and getting them better. That's our job. So we're not going to be perfect. We get that. We're early, but we do know we have to improve in a lot of areas to be the team we want to be.
I think it was the first time that one of those key 3 outfielders didn't start this season with Keane. He came in later, but what went into the decision to bring in Jonathan, and how do you plan to go about working in him and Kai McGarry, the guys off the bench there?
I just felt like Keane needed a day, a little bit of mental reset. And another guy hasn't been swinging what they're capable of yet, and I think at times some of these guys that, you know, A, need a breather mentally, B, maybe a little wake up call, and C, we got guys behind them that are good players, so we have to keep those guys sharp too. Jonathan didn't get any hits today, but he squared up a couple balls, and we got to keep those guys engaged too and sharp. So, and the last thing, we're facing a tough lefty today, whose splits were a lot better for the right-handed guys than left-handed. So I just kind of felt those things added up to giving Rooster a shot today in right field, and we always had Blue off the bench if we needed a pinch hitter or whatever, and he did, and squared the ball up, hit it well to left there. So some of those times you just need a little mental reset by getting a little bit of, even if it's a few innings, just getting a breather.
Coach, with Boo out of the lineup, you inserted Matt King into that 2-hole. What's really impressed you about his approach and his performance this weekend?
He's made an adjustment, made a nice adjustment. Mechanically, I usually don't talk a lot about mechanics hitting, but there was a small little mechanical thing that he adjusted, and it's cleaned him up pretty good, where he's starting to get good solid contact like he's capable of. And I think he only had 1 hit today, but he squared up, you know, a couple good hard hit balls to left center where those guys made a couple nice plays on. So his progression is better, and he's starting to come into the match team that we were expecting.
I know midweeks have really been a rotation of guys as far as starting. Have you thought about a starter for Tuesday?
No, we're just kind of talking about that on where we're at. I mean, we got we'll see how we feel tomorrow, how we look tomorrow. We got some options. Probably going to see several arms, I think, on Tuesday. I don't think we're, especially with Schaaf coming in today's game, he would have been kind of the front runner. Him and Easton would have been the front runners to start, I think, on Tuesday and give us some length. But being that both those guys pitched today, I would say Easton's probably going to be down on Tuesday, but Schaaf, he only threw 11 pitches. So we'll see how we want to work that. I haven't really given a lot of look at UNLV yet. I've been trying to figure out how to beat these guys, so we'll start on that here shortly.
Coach Crom talked to us after the game, and he was 2 for 2, another home run. He was pretty quiet, seems more soft-spoken, at least when talking to us in the media. What kind of a presence does he bring to the locker room?
Quiet confidence, I think. He's that guy. He's not a vocal, outspoken guy, but I think he tries to lead by example. And Crom is a very smart baseball guy, a baseball player. Just from he's not going to verbalize when he sees things that aren't being done the right way, but he notices everything that goes on. So there's a lot of times where I'll ask him just one-on-one, hey, what did you see here? You know, from a team perspective, what do you see there? He's like, Coach, we're terrible at this. It's like, you're right, we are terrible at that. How do we got to get better? Well, I think we just got to focus on doing it this way more. And a lot of times he's spot on. So he's not going to be the one to come to me and say that, but if I go to him and ask him things, he's very, very intelligent player, and he's a force. He's an impact. When he connects with it, it goes. So had a nice day today.
How much of that comes from sitting behind Ryan Campos for a year and just for the first time in his career, really last year, just kind of watching the game?
I don't know if it was just sitting and watching, because he's he came from a Oregon program where they do things the right way up there, and a little different than we do it on a lot of things, but they do it the right way, I would say. And he learned under that coaching staff, so he has a very good base of fundamentals on how to do things the right way.
How does that kind of just intelligence help the pitching staff and just working as a battery?
It's good, and I think one thing I was going to say goes unnoticed with him today is he was a rock behind the plate back there today and blocked a lot of balls with guys on third that the common person doesn't even realize. So I always said if catcher isn't noticed, he did a really good job, and he wasn't noticed today, at least from the average person. But I certainly noticed the job he did back there. He did a great job. But I think having his presence, calming presence, a 5th-year senior back there, and these guys are confident throwing to him, and our other guys are learning from him too.
Thanks, Coach. Thanks, Willie.
As a coach.